Terry Barridge to come and talk to us about Sergeant at Arms. Thank you.
I'm not going to make you jump, but I do like it if you'd all stand up, please. Just my bum's hurting, and I was sitting down for too long, so I figured your bums aren't that much different.
Give it a scratch,
Raise your arms and breathe in. Down and breathe out. Now, while you're standing, I'd like you to close your eyes. And just think of a time when you were somewhere and you saw somebody coming toward you. A vision. An absolute honey. A veritable spunk. Your eyeballs just about jumped out of your head. They turned into dinner plates. Your heart quickened. Your face started to flush. And you were worried. What if they look at me? I'll try and look away. But for a microsecond, and you've got to look back, you just had to absorb this magnificence coming towards you. Open your eyes, please, quickly. There's some red faces coming here. And hands up in the air. I want to know where everybody's hands are. Good, thank you. Thank you. We're safe. Excellent. Excellent. Another deep breath, please. Down. You can sit down now. First impressions. Do first impressions make a difference? Think back to that moment. You didn't know that person for a bar or so. But they did something to you right there and then. Could have been the way they were groomed, the way they were dressed, the way they walked. Didn't matter what it was. That first impression stuck with you. When you walk into a Toastmasters club, do first impressions count? They do, don't they? There's two things you must do as a Sergeant at Arms. And the first one is very simple. Start the meeting on time. The meeting starts on time. Do you think there's a fair chance the rest of the meeting might flow fairly well? Do you think there's a chance that'll set up a great first impression to that person? It will, won't it? The second thing is, and not all clubs do this, but lots of clubs do, they have a break where you have a little bit of food. Now, like our turnout tonight, we're peculiar creatures, aren't we? You know, we like taste. So if it's tasty and it's nice, we hop into it. We think it's pretty yum. If it's a bit off, or it's a bit ordinary, we really couldn't care less. Not interested. Teas and coffees, yeah, okay, that's fine. Plain vanilla. 2 years ago, the guy that took over in our club as Sergeant at Arms was, all the plain vanilla stuff was coming out. You know, bickies and dips, chocky bickies, whatever. So he asked around a few members, took some initiative, and found out that the members liked Tim Tam. And then somebody else popped in and said, oh, what about chilled Tim Tams? So from there on in, we got chilled Tim Tams in our break. Great initiative. We're showing leadership. The immediate past Sergeant at Arms took it a step further. He thought, oh, this is good now. I'm not going to stop the chilled Tim Tams because lots of people like that, but I wonder what else they like. So he did a little bit of a survey, chatted to people, and it was in the warmer months. Some people said, oh, what about ice cream in a cone? Well, we're lucky we've got a fridge with a freezer in our venue. Isn't that sensational? So now we can dip in and we can have multi-flavoured, we can have chocky, we can have vanilla. We can have ice cream in a cone in our break. That helps when we have our little break. It helps the atmosphere. It helps socialise when people working. So that's the two things you must do. What are the things that you need to do? You need to have 5 Ps. Not because of your nerves. You need to have 5 Ps. You need to prepare the venue. Now, can you start on time if the venue's not prepared properly? The banner's not hung up. The lectern's not there. The chairs aren't organised. The tables aren't organised. The guests aren't welcome. The voting slips aren't on the table. All of these things count. So preparation's a very important thing. So you need to have the venue prepared. The second P that you have is you need to have your food laid out. Now we've covered the food a little bit there. So prepare to make sure that the food's all ready to go. The third P is guests and visitors. Part of your role is to make sure that guests and visitors are welcomed in. So that's the third P that you need to deal with. The fourth P is, how many clubs have elections? All clubs should have at least one election a year. Most clubs, though, have an election at every meeting. We elect who we've chosen to be the best speaker. We elect who we've chosen to be the best table topics respondent, etc., etc., etc. Sergeant Arm's job is to look after that ballot. Look after all ballots. So be prepared for that. Have the voting slips out for your normal meetings. Make sure that you've got voting slips when you're electing your officers. Because sometimes, even those clubs that push somebody into a position, sometimes there's somebody in the wings saying, I'd like that position too. We're going to have an election tonight. I'm going to stand up and be counted. In my 9 years of Hawthorn, the first election was this last election that we just had. Somebody else wanted to be president. So we had to have an election. First time since I've been at the club. We weren't prepared. We got in there pretty quick, smart and prepared. But at the time, we weren't that prepared. So there's a lesson there for us at Hawthorn. We're not beyond it. No club is. Oh, and I forgot the fifth P, didn't I? The fifth P is your successor. Prepare your successor. Now, how do you prepare a successor? I hear you ask. Well, you know, of course, that you can't be hanging up the banner and you can't be putting chairs in place and putting things on the table and greeting guests at the same time, all in that 5, 10, 15 minutes before a meeting. Can you?
You can try.
So throughout the year, you get people on side to help you do those roles, don't you? So that you're not running ragged. We're all volunteers, after all. The person that seems to be most willing to help you and put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll give you a hand with that. Yeah, I'll give you a hand with that. Each time you ask for something, yeah, no dramas, I'll give you a hand with that. Do you think that person might be looking to do your job a little bit further down the track? Might be encouraged to be your successor? So when you go away on holidays or you get called away for work, that's the person you ring up. Oh, look, I'm not going to be able to make it to the next meeting. Can you step in, Laura? Can you run my role for me as Sergeant at Arms? Make sure this is done, that's done, the other done. Yep, no problem. Thank you very much. And then they get a feel for what that is. That's preparing your successor. So how do we go about doing all these things? What do we need to do to make it happen? It's been mentioned several times already, the things on the board behind us. One of them is set the goal. When I'm setting a goal in Toastmasters, the first person I look after is moi. I set my goals for the year. What do I want to achieve personally? What do I want to get out of Toastmasters for this coming year? And I write them down. I like the idea of putting it in the manual. That's why it's easily accessible. The next, of course, is you're an officer. So, what would you like your club to achieve? Do you think, careless, I'll sit back, take it easy. I don't have to do much, just organise a few things. I don't really care, do I, if the club gets distinguished again? Oops, we were presidentially distinguished. Do you think I should drag the club down? Or do you think I should help keep the club up there? Be part of that team that's working to keep the club at a standard or increase the standard. If you've got some great ideas, bring them on board and increase that standard. Make it better. Remember, we want innovation. We want new ideas. We want new blood to inject that in. We don't want the same old vanilla. We want new tastes. So it's important. Be the leader you want to be. You have been elected to the position. Whether you were pushed into it or what have you, your club has got you in that position as the leader. And that means, technically speaking, if you go outside of Toastmaster and all our bits and pieces and say, what are you? Well, I'm the chairman of the board of Sergeant-at-Arms. You're the chairman, yep. And I've got a whole club that's my committee. From the president all the way through to the newest member. They are all volunteers and they are all on my committee. So when you think of yourself in that position as being the chairman of that board, then it's simply a matter of taking that on board, talking to people, asking them if they'll give you a hand. Delegating is a horrible word, I think. Asking somebody, because we're all human. Delegating sort of gives me the impression that we're robots or something. We're just going to do is send out some memos. Let everybody do it. Rubbish. We're people. We're in the people business. Ask people. If you ask them face to face, guess what they're going to say? 99% of the time they're going to say, yeah, great, no worries, I'll give you a hand. It's so simple. Don't reinvent the wheel. Please, don't reinvent. For 85 years we've been doing it, and each year, each division, each club, each area, each whatever has been doing it and refining it. Find out what the person before you's done. Certainly add your creativity and innovation to it. But don't reinvent the wheel. Ask people for help. If you don't know, it's said several times that, ask for some assistance. Email me. I respond. Lots of these other guys respond immediately. And ask. I'm happy to tell you. I'm happy to advise you. I'm more often than not happy to come out and help as well. Ask for assistance and you will get it. Because we all want to see everybody thrive and survive in this atmosphere. And I think, particularly the chairmanship and a few of the other things, don't just apply to Sergeant-at-Arms. They apply to every role as a leader. You're a leader. Be proud of it. Stand up there and take your job just a little bit seriously. Have fun along the way, helping people as well.